30 minutes in, I wanted to catch a ride out of the theater. Hey there and welcome to the channel. My name is Gil and today we are reviewing Borderlands, the live-action adaptation of the Gearbox video game of the same name. One of my personal favorite video games of all time, and boy, was this movie a major disappointment. The film stars Cate Blanchett as Lilith, Kevin Hart as Roland, Edgar Ramirez as Atlas, and Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis. Based on the best-selling video game, this all-star action adventure follows a ragtag team of misfits on a mission to save a missing girl who holds the key to unimaginable power. Normally when I make one of these videos, I write up a script or make a rough outline of what I want to talk about. But I'm just so angry and upset about this film that I want it to come off my chest. I want to be genuine about the passion I felt about where this movie went wrong. This movie is a disaster, and I'm not saying that as just a Borderlands fan. I think as a general movie lover, this film fails in so many aspects, and I want to go over some of the things that stood out, both as a Borderlands fan that loved these video games, that played everything, pre-sequel, New Tales from the Borderlands, Borderlands 3, Borderlands 1, 2, played them all. And I gotta say, this is one of the most grossest representations of a video game adaptation that I've seen since Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins. This is that level of cringe and bad. So let's go over some of it. Conceptually, I think Borderlands primes itself to be adapted for the big screen in a huge way. You take this universe that is built from these video games, and you can build around it in such a spectacular way. This movie should have been a vault hunting adventure with characters that are so outlandish and crazy, it felt like a Quentin Tarantino movie, but mixed in with Indiana Jones and the spelunking adventures of the National Treasure films. And you could have had a hit if you played your cards right. In my opinion, I think this movie would have worked way better if they did 4 new, unique Vault Hunters instead of going off of characters that were loosely based off of Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. At least they could have thrown in some of those characters to give the audience what they wanted out of some of the cameos, and they could have did something completely new to work into Borderlands 4. It could have been completely synergistic with what these video games could have represented. Instead, what we have here is a hodgepodge of Guardians of the Galaxy and any other derivative action-adventure family film. This is so generic and boring, it's utterly forgettable at the end of it. A lot of the controversy with this film revolves around the casting. You have Cate Blanchett, an Academy Award-winning actress, portraying Lilith, which 20 years ago, it would have been every single fanboy's wet dream. But she's in her 50s. And you're telling a news story about Lilith and Tiny Tina and these adventures, starting from the very end of her journey. It doesn't make any sense. And especially in this story, where she's going through this journey of trying to remember her mother and all the lessons she learned as a kid, to see a 50-year-old gawk about her mother this late in her life, it's kind of strange. You can tell this was a script derived and written for like a 20-year-old, but they got 50-plus-year-old Cate Blanchett to play it. It doesn't make any sense. Now, Cate is doing a good job of doing whatever she can with the script that's placed in front of her, but she is so woefully miscasted in this movie that I seem to think, what got her into this in the first place? How much money did they dump on her doorstep to get her in this film? This is a blight on her career and her filmography. Because, just several months after this, after they recorded Borderlands, she went on to star in Tar, which got her another Academy Award nomination. What the fuck went on with the casting and the production of this film to get these big-name actors into this piece of shit? Let's talk about Kevin Hart for a second. Now, I firmly believe that in order to adapt a video game adaptation to the big screen, you have to be loyal to the source material. And that starts with the casting, as we just mentioned with Cate Blanchett. In the source material, Roland, the player that Kevin Hart is portraying, he's a straight-faced leader of the Crimson Raiders, Vault Hunters that just want to save Pandora and also take in a lot of cash for themselves. They're very selfish, but that's what makes them enjoyable. Kevin Hart being the comedian that he is, most people either love him or hate him, playing a straight-faced character like this is not in his repertoire. And especially given his size and stature, it is one of the weirdest miscastings that I've seen in a video game film in a very long time. He is not right for this role. He has no comedic bits. And at certain points, I forgot he was in this movie, especially by the third act when he makes a surprise return. Spoiler alert. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in this movie. Now, for Tiny Tina, she was always one of my favorite characters in the video game. She's so wildish for a kid. She does some crazy things, blows some raiders up. She decapitates people. She's really crazy in the story, and that's why people love her. She's also very cringe. Some of the way she talks and her mannerisms is a bit over the top, and it's kind of cringy. But in this story, they just make her a typical teenager that has a snobbish, bratty attitude, that's going along for the adventure because she is the MacGuffin that they got to take to the vault. It is in no way representative of the video game storylines or what Tiny Tina was like in those games. So it stands to me like a generic story that they managed to paste Borderlands characters into. I wanted to like Tiny Tina because she's one of my favorite characters in the game, but in this movie, she's just kind of a nuisance, and she's annoying. And speaking of nuisance, Claptrap. Oh my god. See, in the video games, Claptrap is annoying, but at least he's endearing. This little robot that follows you around, delivering orders and trying to sabotage your vault hunting explorations. But there's something kind of funny about him. He's so pathetic and weird and dumb. His sense of humor is really chaotic. But here Jack Black presents Claptrap as a completely cynical, utterly irredeemable character. I don't know what they were thinking writing Claptrap this way, but I absolutely hated him. And there's even a scene in this movie where Claptrap goes out of his way to endanger the entire group for no fucking reason whatsoever. And the movie tries to write it off like, it's so funny. Look, guys, he's shitting out bullets. No, it's not funny at all. No one in the theater laughed, and there was only about 3 of us, by the way. This movie just does not get the characters right. And I think if you were to watch this movie subjectively as someone who didn't know anything about the video games, you also would be annoyed of Claptrap. He is such a nuisance in this film, and his little one-liners after everything that they go through is also very on brand for what this movie is all about. It wants so desperately to be like Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy, but it just comes off very cringe and out of place. If I was to give a little bit of positive feedback for this film, and there's not a lot of it, I want to say the costume design is actually really good. And I loved Benjamin Byron Davis as Marcus. Not only did he nail the look of the character, but the voice is perfect. I never would have thought Dutch from Red Dead Redemption 2 could play Marcus so perfectly. So kudos for that. Outside of that, yeah, I got nothing. I've got nothing else positive to say about this movie. The action isn't very fun. It looks very bad, and there's a lot of shaky cam. One of the other weird things is the CGI looks very outdated. At some points, it looks pretty polished, and other points, it straight up looks like a CW television series. I don't know where the budget went for the $120 million it spent to make this movie, but it certainly was not on the special effects. And for a movie that is this crazy with explosions and guns and chaos, it just missed the mark. Like, this is just bad, dude. I also want to take the time to address the big elephant in the room regarding this film and the controversy surrounding Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford. Randy Pitchford has always been an eccentric kind of guy. He's passionate about his video games. That's probably why I like Borderlands so much and why I've tolerated Randy Pitchford for so long. But I think enough is enough. He's gone on record after this film released, especially after it bombed to 0% on Rotten Tomatoes on opening night, to block and outwardly backlash against any journalist, cosplayer, or content creator that had anything negative to say about this film. It's very childish, and it makes the entire IP look a lot worse for it. This is a guy that's going off the rails and is publicly melting down on Twitter because his movie didn't get the glorifying reviews he wanted. He asked for criticism and feedback from the audience. They gave him the feedback, and now he's backlashing against them. It's really childish, and I think it hurts my impression and my expectations for Borderlands 4. So there we have it. Borderlands, the live-action adaptation of the video game. I give it 1.5 out of 5. I think it's slightly better than Madame Web, but that's not saying much. This is a movie that I utterly disliked. I don't ever want to visit it again. I want to play the video games again to wash the taste out of my mouth, but also at the same time, it's going to remind me of how much of a failure this film was. If you were one of the few people that went out to go watch Borderlands in the theaters this weekend and contributed to this $8.8 million bomb, let me know and sound off in the comments section down below. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a review. And I also have a Discord channel that you're invited to come to. If you're a video game fan and you want to talk about films as well, we even have a Mountain Dew collection channel too. It's pretty fun. The link will be in the description down below. I want to thank you all for watching and subscribing. And as always, go catch a movie.